Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to have a little bit of a look at the best Pokemon deck in the world. Now, obviously it's quite awkward to say exactly which is the best deck and all of that. And I know we've had some regionals over in the West recently, but this weekend, over in Japan, we had the Aichi Champions League. And that had 1,200 players, which is significantly more than in any of the regionals over here. And we do have a winner, and I think I can confidently call this the best deck right now. Obviously, there are other good decks around, but I'm putting my flag on this one for the time being. It is worth pointing out that over in Japan, Battle Region is out and is legal, but as you're going to see, this is not a deck that relies on Battle Region, so if you want to be going and testing this deck, like as you watch the video, honestly, you totally can. And we start off with Arceus. It's an Arceus deck. And by now we should know that Arceus is the best card around. That's not to say that it's always going to win everything, but I think we've seen enough to say that Arceus is the best card. Arceus is amazing. Now, we actually need to start off with Arceus V, that's got that really, really nice attack for 2 energy, and bearing in mind double turbo energy is a thing, so the ideal situation is go second, double turbo energy, use this attack turn 1, you search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way that you like. You then move up to Arceus V Star and you can do the exact same thing, but you need a 3rd energy, and you deal 200 damage while you do it, which is clearly nuts. So you're doing good damage, you should be KOing Pokemon V, and you're accelerating energy as you go. This is clearly a crazy, ridiculous thing. Plus, you've got the ability Starburst, and this is one of the themes we're really going to see in this deck. The ability Starburst says, during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. You search for any 2 cards. There are very, very few 4-ofs in this deck. In fact, the only 4-ofs in the entire deck are Arceus V, Sobble, and Quick Ball. They are the only 4-ofs in this deck. Lots of 1 or 2-ofs, and the reason is between Arceus and Inteleon, more on that in a moment, you can be searching out anything you want. So you can play fewer versions of cards, more different cards, and give yourself more options. And Starburst lets you do it. And in terms of attackers, make no mistake about it, Arceus is your attacker. There is one other Pokemon with which you can attack, and it is the aforementioned Inteleon. And Inteleon's really good, don't get me wrong, Inteleon's great. But we're mostly playing it for the ability. The ability, when you evolve into it, lets you search your deck for any 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So you can't get Pokemon or energy, but you can get all your trainers, including cards that get you Pokemon or energy, and that's clearly a very good thing. Plus, for 2 energy, 120 plus 20 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's not ideally the attack you want to be using, it's not the goal here, but it's still a decent attack, and it is a single prize attacker. And we also should mention that we've got Drizzle here. Drizzle, when you evolve into it, you search for any 1 trainer card. So between Drizzle and Inteleon, every time you get to an Inteleon, you're going to have searched out 3 trainers, which is nuts. And then with the Sobble, we're going for the Rapid Strike Sobble, and that is the one with Keep Calling. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Rapid Strike Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Basically, you can use Sobble to search out your other Sobble. So if you can't be accelerating energy with Arceus for whatever reason, Sobble will allow you to get your other Sobble, and then that's going to feed your Inteleon line for the rest of the game, which is clearly a good thing. We also have a copy of Dunsparce here. It takes away your weakness. And this is pretty important because I've told you you're only really playing 1 attacker here. You're only really playing Arceus. So if you come across a fighting deck, that's going to be a bad thing. That's going to hurt. So what we essentially do instead here is we play Dunsparce. Takes away our weakness. Job's a good un. And then we got Manafee. Manafee protects your bench Pokemon, stops your opponent hitting your bench Pokemon. That's a very good thing. So yeah. They're your Pokemon. It really is all about Arceus doing the damage, and then you've got Manafee to protect your bench, you've got Dunsparce to take away your weakness, And then you've got your Inteleon line for consistency, so you can draw into anything you need. And that's it. That's the Pokemon line. In terms of energy, we got a couple of double turbo energy, so you can get that rolling nice and quickly. We've already talked about that. And we've got capture energy, and capture energy is again very, very important, because capture energy, you attach it, and you get to search for a basic Pokemon and bench it. Well, you need your Manafee in some games, only if your opponent's hitting the bench. You need your Dunsparce in some games, only if your opponent's hitting for weakness. You need your backup Arceus, your Sobble, etc. So this is going to give you a lot more consistency. Only do double turbo energy, and that basically means you're not going all in on using Arceus V's attack turn 1. You're not going all in on a Trinity charge, because actually, we've got ways to get the third energy on Arceus nice and quickly, and we can do that instead. You know, it's no coincidence that your basic energy you're playing here is water, because as we head into trainer cards, what do we see? We've got Melanie. What does Melanie do? It attaches a water energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon V, and draw 3 cards. So what you can do with Arceus here is evolve your Arceus V into a V-Star, Starburst for a double turbo energy and a Melanie, and then play the Melanie, assuming you've discarded a water energy, which hopefully you have, play the Melanie, attach the water energy, draw 3 cards, attach a double turbo energy, and then as long as you've got another Arceus V on the bench, and that's why you're playing stuff like capture energy, etc., then you can just go. And then you get the energy on a benched Arceus, and you're doing 200 damage while accelerating energy to your benched Arceus, and then at that point you're basically rolling. And this is why this deck works so well as its own self-contained thing, because the second you evolve into Arceus, you can get free energy on, and then immediately power up a second Arceus, and that's going to do you energy-wise for a large portion of the game. It's why you only need 2 Melanie, why you only need 2 double turbo energy, etc. Now, in terms of Pokemon search, we've got 4 Quick Ball, because you need your basics. We've got 4 Level Ball. It gets any Pokemon with 90 HP or less. That includes Drizzle and your support Pokemon. That'll do very nicely. Couple of Evolution Incense to go and get your Evolved Pokemon. And an Ultra Ball to go and get any Pokemon you like. Bearing in mind that your Inteleon line can go and search out a lot of these cards. So you're not quite so reliant on something like an Ultra Ball here, because you can use Level Ball to get a Drizzle and then maybe get an Evolution Incense to get whatever you need. And that works quite nicely. In terms of supporter cards, we've got 1 Professor's Research and we've got 1 Marnie. This is not your classic deck where you are going to be playing many draw supporters so you can keep yourself rolling through the game, because you've got the Inteleon engine. You don't need to necessarily draw into all your supporters every turn, because, you know, a Level Ball can get you a Drizzle, which can get you any supporter you like. So we got 1 Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7. 1 Marnie, which gives you and your opponent a new hand, draw power plus a little bit of disruption. And that will honestly do quite a lot. Now, one of the new cards we've got from Battle Region, and I've told you there aren't many, but one of the new ones we've got here is Roxanne. And it's played as a one-of, remember how easy it is to search. And you're going to see this played as a one-of in a lot of decks. Because Roxanne can only be played if your opponent's got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, but it's a shuffle draw where you get 6 cards and your opponent gets 2. So as soon as your opponent goes down to 3 prizes remaining, you can then search this out, activate it, and go. We've obviously got a couple of boss's orders to gust up Pokemon and KO them, but I've got to go slightly out of order here, and I've got to go out of order a little bit here, because we've got to talk about Echoing Horn. Echoing Horn here is so good. It is an item card that puts a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. But when I evolve into Inteleon, I can search out any 2 trainer cards. So, for argument's sake, an Echoing Horn and a boss's orders? Just for as an example? So I can go and grab like a week 2 prize Pokemon or whatever, put it onto their bench, immediately gust it up, and yeah, that is a combo which is, I mean, it's basically unavoidable unless you've got a full bench, and that is a little bit of a problem, so that is one great trick that this deck has. Elsewhere, we've got Sharons Care. Now, Sharons Care is a rather lovely supporter card. It lets you pick up one of your colorless Pokemon with any damage counters on it and put it into your hand. So, Arceus V-Star. Your opponent doesn't get a one-hit KO on an Arceus V-Star. So you pick it up and heal it completely and then put a new one up. And then your opponent's just wasted an attack. Bearing in mind, you've got Dunsparce, which gives you no weakness. So you've got the combination of no weakness, high HP, and you can pick yourself up if your opponent doesn't get a one-hit KO. That's pretty gosh darn good, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. And then we see a copy of Avery as well. Draw 3 cards, but if you drew any cards this way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3. Yeah, it's actually quite nice for hurting your opponent, because if they're really relying on their bench, if they've got a bunch of bench Pokemon that they really need, play this, force them to get rid of them. That's kind of annoying. And then you can even follow it up with an Echoing Horn to fill up their bench of Pokemon they don't want, and that ends up being kind of hilarious. Elsewhere, we've got a couple of Choice Belt. That lets you do an extra 30 damage on all of your attacks. Arceus only actually does 200. Pokemon V tend to have 220. Choice Belt means you actually get into a KO. We got Big Charm that gives you an extra 30 HP, which is very important for surviving some attacks you wouldn't otherwise. We've got Scoop Up Net, which picks up one of your non-rule box Pokemon. Here, you basically pick up an Inteleon, and then you've got one extra use with Drizzle and an extra use with Inteleon, which is absolutely nuts. You play Scoop Up Net, and over the next 2 turns, you can search out 3 more trainer cards. That's clearly a bit ridiculous. Pal Pad lets you shuffle 2 supporter cards from your discard pile back into your deck. I've shown you you're playing a whole bunch of supporters as 1 or 2 ofs, and I've shown you how easily you can search them out. Pal Pad becomes amazing. We've got one Tool Scrapper here, which gets rid of tools. That could be from you or your opponent. So, for instance, you could get rid of a Big Charm on yourself and add on a Choice Belt if you needed to do that extra damage, which is a sneaky little play. We've then got Ordinary Rod, which can recover your Pokemon and basic energy, because you're only playing 1 Dunsparce, 1 Manafee, etc. It's nice to be able to get them back. And finally, in terms of stadiums, we've got 2 Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak here is amazing. Path to the Peak says that all Pokemon in play with rule boxes can't use their abilities, or have no abilities even. And obviously, you're kind of reliant on your Starbirth, but this is a post-Starbirth thing. Starbirth in this deck is probably going to be an early game kind of thing, because you're playing so many 1s and 2s of, you're relying on Starbirth and then your Inteleon to really get you rolling. That's your engine here. But Inteleon doesn't get stopped by Path to the Peak, so you wait until you've got everything you need, basically until you've used Starbirth, then you play this and hope to wreck your opponent. And against some decks, you absolutely will. And then we've got 1 single copy of Jubilee Village. I like Jubilee Village. Also, both these stadiums drawn by Kato, that makes me very happy. Jubilee Village is the one whereby, once during each player's turn, they can shuffle a hand into their deck and draw 5 cards. Cool. That'll do. And the thing is, it's not amazing. It ends your turn. But if you've got nothing else going, this will allow you to get going. If you're really struggling and you aren't able to attack, this will give you a new hand and hopefully set you off. This is the kind of deck where hitting an Inteleon or hitting Starbirth really is the catalyst that will get you going. And this could be what gets you those cards. I love this deck. The whole list is on the screen here. It was 58CUNE over on Twitter that actually went and won with this. And it's a weird kind of deck. Because when you look at the Pokemon, it's super streamlined. It's an Arceus deck. You attack with Arceus and Inteleon's your backup. But then when you look at the trainer line, I've got many different options. If you're reliant on abilities, Path to the Peak will shut you down. I've got the combination of Echoing Horn and Boss's Orders to take cheeky extra prizes if I'm struggling against your active and your bench and all of that. I've got Roxanne to slow you down if you do well. I've got lots of different options, and I can search them all out really nicely. So it's this weird mix of a super streamlined, straightforward deck Pokemon-wise, and a super awkward Trixie deck in terms of trainers. But it went and won a 1,200 person tournament. That seems pretty good to me. And like I say, in terms of battle region, the only cards we don't have at the moment are Roxanne and Jubilee Village, so you could easily make this deck and be testing it right now. And speaking of right now I want to know what you think about it. I want to know if you think it's legit. I want to know how good you think it is. I want to know if you think this deck isn't going to last. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.